Just a few days ago, we found out that the Willow Disney Plus series was canceled, which honestly wasn't very surprising because it was pretty bad, and while they did try to bait people into watching it simply for nostalgic reasons, it didn't really work out for them, and now the creator has released a big statement saying it might not be canceled, yet there's no active plans for a second season. I have a few different things to show off, but before we get into the topic, if you enjoy the content that I create, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Follow me on social media like Twitter or mine so that you can see when my content is posted. And of course, if you do really enjoy the videos and the live streams that I create, please consider becoming a Dark Titan via Patreon or a supporter via YouTube memberships. So, I wanted to start off with this Deadline article. The Willow creator John Caston remains optimistic for a season 2, but not for at least a year. I mean, this is full on hoping. He is saying that while they don't have anything greenlit, they let the actors go from their contracts, and nothing will be filming for at least a year. Maybe something will happen in the future. It says, the Willow creator remains hopeful that we will see a second season of the fantasy series, following news that it is ending, at least for now. Caston took to social media Thursday to reassure fans that a season 2 has been written and he has every hope that it will eventually air, but not at least for the next 12 months. A decision was made last week to release our main cast for other series opportunities that may arise for them in the coming year, he wrote, taking issue with Deadline and other reports online that the series was ending, and he added that he feels fairly confident that if asked, neither I nor the folks at Lucasfilm would or have actually characterized it as a final cancellation, which I think is hilarious. So first of all, he straight up admits that they let the actors go for other opportunities. If these actors sign on to projects, it is going to be much longer than a year where they would even get a project. It takes years to, go into pre-production, to cast, to film, to edit, and then the actors can move on to other projects, unless they're just playing very small side parts in something that is casting right now that they don't need to be a part of the whole entire series. If any of these main actors sign on to something that is brand new, then they're not going to be available for like 2 to 2.5 years. And obviously, if Lucasfilm had a lot of hope in this, if they thought this series was going to do fantastic, they wouldn't have done this. They wouldn't have made this decision. They wouldn't let the actors go. They would have instantly greenlit it, and they would have put the second season into pre-production right away if they had confidence after this first season. So clearly, this to me shows that it didn't do the views they want. It didn't do as well as they were hoping it would. So now they're like, well, we're just not gonna do a second season right away. And of course, it is pure hope on the side of this creator. There's no way that this is going to get a second season or spin-offs or anything like that, even though he clearly hopes it doesn't. I understand why he wanted to. He probably did put quite a bit of work and effort into this, but it just didn't end up paying off. I have talked about Willow a couple of times now, but there just wasn't really a lot here that interested me personally. Warwick Davis is a very good actor in my opinion. I really liked him, and I thought that he did pretty good in this as well for the script that he was given, but unfortunately there were just a lot of inconsistencies. I didn't like the way that his character was having issues with Sorsha, and it added a lot of tension between these two characters, and I just don't see her insulting him the way that she did in the show. You also had the first few episodes where they tried to pretend that Alora Dannon wasn't really Alora Dannon, and oh yeah, she's just in love with the prince, but she's just, someone who works in the castle. It just didn't make a lot of sense to me. And then you, of course, had the, romantic relationships in the series that a lot of people weren't big fans of. I don't know. The show overall to me just didn't really feel completely like Willow. It felt like a modern take on Willow, which is probably what they were going for. And for me, I didn't like it. It didn't sit well with me. Also, it wasn't visually pretty either. It was okay, but it wasn't as breathtaking as I would have liked it to be. This show, for me, just was kind of a failure. I know for a lot of people, you guys tapped out, and I actually did as well. I only recently finished it just to say I finished it. I mean, clearly they were hoping for a season 2 because it kind of ends on not really a cliffhanger, but Alora's talking about the dawning of a new age, and she's basically got like this army now, and she's really excited for the future. And there are a few different minor cliffhangers that they were hoping would lead into a season 2, but judging by things like the user scores, it seemed like it was never destined for another season because, as you can see, while the critics rated it pretty well at an 83%, the audiences gave it a 66%. I honestly feel like the show is more of a 50%. I think a 66 is definitely generous, but even a 66 isn't great. This is just another woke program to add to the list of failures because they did say that this was supposed to be, a new take on Willow, a new generation for this franchise. Of course, there are LGBT romances featured in this, there is a diverse cast of characters featured in this, and all of the characters do act a little bit different. So while they did try to modernize Willow, it was a massive failure for them. Reading a couple of the user reviews, there are some 5 stars that have actually been put on here since the announcement that the show was going to be canceled. I think it's people, of course, hoping that if they change the user scores and that it gets really high, Disney will go, you know what, we'll give it another season because the fans did pull through, but I don't think it's going to happen. Somebody gave it a half star saying, I don't know where to start. Bad is not a strong enough word. Worse than bad. This deserves a negative rating. I read the novels back in the day and they were so good. None of the characters made sense and I've seen 4-year-old kids who could better act than this bunch. Stop destroying all of the beloved franchises we have. Good thing it was canceled. Here are some 5 stars. I'm absolutely mad they canceled the show. I'm really sad Willow was canceled. I hope they at least have a second season. But then we get into the negatives. Disaster. How did you succeed jumping from 30% to 66%? Disney is magic, which is also true. When the user reviews initially aired, it was all the way down around a 30%. So there are some people thinking that maybe they bumped the ratings up with bots and fake accounts. I don't have any proof of that, but it is a little bit odd. A half star. This young adult drama has come to an end. Thank the writers and actors for doing their absolute best to make the most terrible fantasy series of 2022. They took everything endearing and whimsical of the original movie and turned it into a Valley Kids fever dream. It's canceled and will act as if it never happened. Honestly, if a season 2 was even released of this, I don't think that I would watch it. I do try to consume a lot of content so that I can talk about it here on YouTube and have my own fair opinions, but I just don't see any way I could endure another season of this hot garbage. But yes, as you can see, while it seems like Willow is canceled and they're not going to do another season 2, the creator is optimistic for another season, maybe in a couple of years, but I honestly do not think that that is going to happen. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this and found it important and informative, please make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.